This is a live presentation of the Titan Upload Network. The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and thank you for joining us on this Monday evening. Wish I could say it was a victory Monday, but unfortunately, the Cincinnati Bengals came out and played a very physical ball game against us, and due to some unfortunate mental errors, it just didn't go our way. So, unfortunately, the Bengals winning 20-16. Tennessee still in good position going forward, still in third place after the Baltimore loss. So playoff-wise, they still look very competitive. They still look like they'll be okay. We'll definitely discuss a lot of what we think went wrong and where we think there can be improvements going throughout the season. Al Pierce jumping on the program. Good seeing you, Al. And you bring up a good point, saying you're concerned that we may not have beaten a team over 500 this year, and you know that we'll make the playoffs as AFC champs, but you are concerned that can you compete when we get there? And that's a great point, Al. We're definitely going to talk about that tonight as we go forward. But first, got to get to my special guest joining us tonight. From PHONIES Podcast is our good friend, Ricky. Ricky, as always, good having you on the show tonight, man.
Hey, man, appreciate it. Hopefully we can, drown in our sorrows together this evening. But just come up with some better ways to cope with it and hopefully move forward.
Well, when I get the four phonies on the show, I know we've got some great coping mechanisms because unfortunately, I remember one of the shows we had you on was when we lost last year in the AFC divisional round. Hate to bring that up. But yeah, unfortunately, man, we did have a great show. I'll say that. The show's great. So
absolutely.
That was the positive part of that. So we'll try and see if we can kind of just summon up that energy and see if we can go about and just find some positives there. But first, we got some top news to get to, Ricky. So what do you say we jump into that real quick?
Let's do it.
Well, as we go, Ricky from PHONIES Podcast joining us on the Power Hour. I'm your host, Michael Bishop. Let's jump into our top news today. And to start out, it has been one of the biggest during season topics, and right now we may come to a conclusion maybe within week or weeks, but OBJ is potentially looking at three teams: the Giants, the Cowboys, and maybe the Bills. So, Ricky, it's been a saga that's kind of been quietly downplayed, but now it's starting to pick up steam. So, out of the three teams that Odell Beckham's put interest in, what team do you think would make the most headway with him going forward? What system would he fit in best?
I honestly think the Cowboys, to be honest. Of course, he's been with the Giants before, but I think as for Daniel Jones, just kind of looking at the quarterbacks, of course, with Buffalo, with Allen, he's the best quarterback of the three. But considering the type of offense, and plus being indoors, I don't know how that will affect the ACL. I'm sure they're playing on grass or whatever. But I think, due to the elements as well as the type of offense they run, considering they do have two great dual backs. Who is it, CeeDee Lamb there? I think he would be very complimentary to him. So, I think Dallas would probably be the best fit for him, in my opinion.
And that's a good point. I think Dallas has basically emerged as the favorite from some analysts, and I definitely think you take pressure off CeeDee Lamb. It makes life easier, especially for Dak Prescott, and that really would definitely open up the running game. Yeah. But as always, there's usually a surprise team that no one discusses. And not to speculate a whole lot, but if there could be a surprise fourth team, what team do you think could potentially have a shot at bringing Odell Beckham in?
That's a good question. I mean, you think about some of the teams at the top. Looking at the AFC East again with Miami, of course, they have the two receivers that they probably don't have enough balls to go around there. But, considering if he's looking for a ring, the 49ers might be a team. Of course, they have a lot of weapons and that offense is really good. Will there be enough, options or whatever to go around? But that would be a decent spot for him, I think. Just off the top of my head, think about another team, a fourth team. Yeah.
And the 49ers, that's actually a really good pick. I mean, you've already got the pieces in place. You've got a phenomenal defense playing right now,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still in the thick of the NFC West race. So, he's already just voiced his pleasure over playing on artificial turf. And the three teams listed, unfortunately, they're artificial turf fields. So, to me, that's funny because he already put that out on Twitter, I think, a few days ago.
Okay.
And it's interesting the fact that it's like, well, I guess he's willing to overlook that. Maybe if he's healed up enough, and if the money's good, no problem.
There you go.
But
right.
I like the San Francisco as a fourth team. I think they could definitely try and swing that. I think logistically that might make him even more comfortable since he's already in California.
Mm-hmm.
And I think realistically, I think people are sleeping on the 49ers, and that actually would be a very good fit. But I would have to say, if Buffalo could try and pull some strings and land him, it would make an already dynamic offense even more threatening, especially going into a deeper playoff run.
For sure, yeah. For sure. And who was it? Gabriel Davis, Diggs. He hasn't done a whole lot this year, but I mean, him just another piece. I mean, absolutely. I mean, he definitely can't go wrong, and I'm sure he would love playing with with Allen up there. So yeah, that would be a good fit as well.
But I'll agree with you. I think realistically, you look at what the Cowboys have. Jerry Jones has shown he's not afraid to go after guys, especially spending anything extra to try and get them closer to a Super Bowl. And I think this definitely helps them move the needle. Will it get them there? I mean, that definitely remains to be seen. I think Mike McCarthy's still not convincing me enough that they can get to that Super Bowl. But with Odell Beckham Jr., I feel a little more comfortable about their offense, especially trying to make a deeper playoff run come January.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hitting our next story. Unfortunately for the Buffalo Bills, they may be without the services of Von Miller, who apparently is still going through tests on his knee. It's not a torn ACL or anything, but still, at this point of the season, if it's anything that needs to heal time, I don't think it's something that he has. So,
true.
If you're Buffalo, where do you go from here?
I mean, they have a couple young guys, right? Who is it? Greg Russo and I can't think of the other guy's name. Of course, they're not Von Miller, but I think it may come down to Allen again and that offense. They can put up points. Why not try to outscore folks at this point? So I think they'll still be in pretty good shape, even though they are battling. That AFC East is tough. Who knows if they'll even come out of the AFC East, considering I think they play the next two games maybe against the Patriots and the Jets. So we'll know a lot more after these next 2 weeks. So I think it'll depend on that. And if he can, like you said, if it's not season ending an ACL, then maybe if they can survive these next couple weeks, get him back healthy, slap a brace on. He's old enough, been in the league long enough to kind of know his body to the point to where he'll know how much to give and when to shut it down just a little bit. So I think they'll handle the situation the best way possible as long as it's not season ending, of course.
And of course, injuries on both sides, especially Josh Allen dealing with, I believe, a thumb injury at this point. You know, toughing through it right now. And watching him play against the Lions, you could tell there was some discomfort throwing, but still able enough to get out there with 23 seconds on the clock, make some plays, and win a very important game on the road in 5 days in the same stadium. Give that. But realistically, can the Bills stay out of injury trouble long enough to make a playoff run this year? Or do you think that they might end up going through what Los Angeles Chargers are going through right now, with just injuries mounting? Because it seems like that seems to be the direction they're heading, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. Back to your point, back to what you just brought up, and watching that game, I think it was Tony Romo. I mean, he had every excuse for every mispass, that that Allen threw. I got so tired of hearing about. I think it's his elbow. I got so tired of hearing about that because he had decent zip on the ball, or whatever. But back to your question as for the injuries. I mean, everybody is getting hit with them. And you kind of just have to fight through them the best way you can and try to get your core folks as healthy as possible for the stretch run, which we're basically in at this point. Pretty much everybody is in it because all divisions are pretty competitive other than our division at the moment. At the moment. So I think I, I think it's just another one of those things. You got to fight through it. We did it last year, went 12-5. So, I'm not going to feel sorry for any of them. I'll put it that way.
Yes, we definitely know our fair share of what it's like to lose nearly most of our roster and go through about 90 plus roster changes and then still have success.
Right.
But looking at the Bills' schedule, and this is where it's going to get crazy. You've got 3 straight games of AFC East opponents. You face the Patriots, the Bills, I'm sorry, the Jets, and then the Dolphins.
Wow.
And then you get the Bears, which I guess if Justin Fields is healthy enough to go, that makes it a more interesting game. And then you finish with the Bengals, and then you finish at home with the Patriots. So,
wow.
Realistically, out of that stretch, can Buffalo finish with a chance to win the AFC East with so much already being locked in as a tie?
Man, I had no idea, that I knew they had the 2 coming up, but Miami, with the way Miami is playing, I haven't looked at their schedule to see what's left, but as well as they're playing, offensively and defensively, if Buffalo don't get it together these next 3 weeks, they may be on the outside looking in. It's pretty obvious these next 3 weeks are gonna probably determine who's coming out of that division. So, hey, all I can tell them do is strap up and just go out there and play. But it's going to take a lot for them as well. And I think, what are they right now in the division? Are they third in the division?
Right now,
You
they're
know,
second in the division.
they're second. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. Ask me that in 3 weeks because it's
So
going to be huge.
right now they're tied with the Dolphins.
Okay. Wow.
So out of those games, you've got 2 games that would potentially be flexed, and I would have to say that the game against the Bengals might potentially be one of those. But
Mm-hmm.
the Bills definitely having a very, very tough road ahead of them. Can they finish ahead of the Dolphins? That's really going to be the biggest story once December starts to roll around.
Yeah. I would bet against it at this point. I think the Dolphins I think they have the upper hand at this point. Once again, not seeing their schedule, but considering the road ahead for Buffalo, I'd go with the Dolphins finishing first in that division. think I lost you.
And breaking into our next story, sound bugs. Always jumping out at the wrong time. I really didn't know what to call this news piece. I really didn't even know where to start with this. And as you see, it was the 15th anniversary yesterday of Sean Taylor's death. And the Washington Commanders wanted to commemorate him by putting a statue up to commemorate his memory for the team and all that he had done. A young talent cut short in the prime of his career. Everybody's excited. Everybody's thinking, okay, this is going to be great. This is going to make up for the porta potty sign unveiling. Hopefully this will work out. Lo and behold, the Washington Commanders once again disappoint everybody because, hey, it's the Washington Commanders. That's what they do. Not only did they not give a statue, but they basically gave the equivalent of what looks like a Foot Locker mannequin dressed up in a Nike jersey, Reebok pants, and Adidas cleats.
Wow, I didn't see all of those details.
If ever there was the term last minute project, they basically just threw this together. Hey, Ricky, I will let you take this one as I introduce Corey into the show. Corey, welcome to the show, man. Good seeing you.
Up? Yeah, man. What's going on, fellas? Sorry I'm late. I've heard the ending of your last segment and into this. I'm glad you got me on this question because I got some stuff to say about it. But hello. What's up, fellas?
What's happening?
Great show from what I've heard so far.
Fantastic getting you on, man. But Corey, I'm definitely going to go. I got to let you get your shots in.
Hey, Ricky told me it was 6:30. No, I'm just kidding, man.
Hey, I got you guys in, so I'm happy regardless.
Oh, yeah.
But Ricky, I'll let you take this first. The so-called statue, your thoughts?
Well, initially when I saw it, I guess, I don't know if I was watching Red Zone or whatever. I basically like what you said. I just saw what seemed to be a mannequin. I didn't know all of the story that surrounded it. Of course, knowing Sean Taylor and the 15-year anniversary, of course. I didn't know how big of a scale it was supposed to be, if that makes sense. Because just looking at it, it just seemed like, hey, we're unveiling a jersey of Sean Taylor, not necessarily a statue or anything like that. It's just like you said, it's a jersey, it's a mannequin. I had no idea that they put 3 different brands of apparel on the mannequin or whatever. So, just looking at it, it just seemed a little tacky. I'd say that it doesn't seem like a lot of thought was put into it. But one thing I can say is that it's hard to criticize it because they do say the family was fully involved in the entire, preparation for it or whatever. So it's hard to criticize it, but
it's not hard for me to criticize it. I'm just waiting. You tell me when I can.
Look, you go ahead and run with it. You go ahead and run with it.
Can I?
Corey, go for it. I know your phone and go.
From a franchise that's been so marred in negativity for the past decade, for an owner who's seemingly on the outs with the league or his fellow owners, and there's only so many positive things that this franchise can put out there, and universally, everyone around football is going to agree with you. Sean Taylor, when you speak his name and what he could do and his prowess on the football field is unanimously everybody starts nodding their head like, yes. he was a beast. Yeah. And when so with that, you seemingly would be very careful with what you do with that, whether it's a story, whether it's some type of honor to him or his family. And I don't even know I hadn't heard this story. So if it's true, I mean, did they say they were doing a statue, or did people just call it a statue? Did they say that
it was?
Because I think he should have a statue, anywhere around that franchise, because a permanent fixture Sean Taylor, when you go to that stadium, it'd be cool to see some type of permanent fixture for Sean Taylor, because everybody in the audience that know of him have a, they think about what he did for that franchise, or what he did at the position, or for football, or whatever it was. He was a monster.
Agreed.
Sure.
So, why not put out your best out there, even just as a positive story? It's probably not that much to turn this from something that's looked at as tacky into something that turns some of that negativity off your franchise in the first place. You got a decent football team. They're performing. When I look at them play, they look like a group of guys that can get it done. They probably should have got it done against my squad. Ricky, we were there. Did you think we were about to win? I did not.
Right.
I did not. But I was cool either way, because it was a good time, and we played okay. But I was okay with the fact we would probably lose in a miraculous play in the end zone. But no, man, I just think, when we see a mannequin, if the intent was to unveil different lines of gear that would be available, and every brand wanted to get a piece of the story or something, and they're going to donate something back to the family or a foundation in honor of him, then I could see that. Okay, Adidas is, Nike this, and a mannequin. You just try to move the apparel. But if it was some sort of, that's not a statue, so obviously it's not a permanent type of fixture. So I'll get educated a little bit more on the story itself, and maybe I can have an amendment to this comment.
What they said, it was a memorial, right? Instead of
some
a statue,
said it was
people took it as a statue being
well. You've had some say statue, some say memorial, but here's the whole thing. And this came in a tweet, and I just feel that this is the best example to just give this entire thing. Basically, somebody tweeted, "Oh, it's Sean Taylor's 15-year anniversary of his death. Guess it's time to screw his family over."
Wow.
And this is just pretty much just the full example of that.
Wow.
It's like, do you really think that this is honoring to anybody? Let me just pinpoint one little thing that really bothers me. And it's not even that big a deal. But it's just the unenthusiastic just design of it.
Yeah.
It's like a 7th grade kid just dressed this and just put it in glass and said, "Done."
Well, to that point, I don't know how old his daughter is. That's the one who I've seen talking a lot, talking about how she appreciated it and everything, and as for being involved, and she seemed like a young lady. So so I'm just assuming, I just hope they didn't take advantage of that opportunity, considering the age and everything, and be like, "Hey, we're putting this together. What do you think?" And just ran with it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is, they've already done this once to them. They dedicated a road, and the unveiling was right next to the porta potties. So to me, I just feel like this is the crap icing on the already crap cake.
Oh my goodness.
And there's so many great images of Sean Taylor they could have used if they wanted to build a wire statue. I mean, that's something. Or if they just wanted to make a straight statue. I could find at least 50 or 60 pictures that's worthy of being honoring of Sean Taylor. Absolutely. This is just a Mitchell and Ness display to me. That's all this is.
Yeah. NFL apparel.
Yes, that's that. I think about, sometimes when somebody's gone, and there's 15 years of them being gone, the family itself is just honored to have the name and the attention and the spotlight back on their loved one, and who knows what they've done for them through this time. But this doesn't, I'm with you, man. This doesn't look very inspiring, or I think it's a missed opportunity of what they could have done. Definitely. Yeah.
Indeed. I mean, for a player that had Ed Reed potential, to me, this is just another slap in the face of the family. And, I applaud them for seeing the positiveness in it, and that's fine. But as fans that look on this that have been pushed away by this franchise, it's just another middle finger to them.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on to our next story. Unfortunately, the injury bug continues to move along. Allen Robinson now out for the year for the Rams with a foot injury. The Rams can't seem to catch a break. So, Corey, realistically, I mean, where do you go if you're the Los Angeles Rams?
They won a Super Bowl last year. We never won one, so I could care less what they got. Any bad news for them, I'm not sympathetic. They won. They did it. It's the next year from that win. So you should be in the garbage pail. You should have some bad luck. You should lose some guys to go to other places. And your quarterback, should go back to being normal. I don't know. Who cares where they go? I tell you what, that guy is a good player. They've got a good coach. They've got a good organization. I imagine even if they fizzle out for the rest of the season, which they may not, or they may. It looks like they might. I expect them to recoup and be back to where they've been. They just care that much, and it seems like they can always make it work. So that's where I stand on that. You got a young coach who's a trendsetter in the league, who's already shown what he can do if he's got pieces. If he's got certain pieces, he's going to be right there. So they had pieces. A lot of their pieces got hurt. A lot of their pieces left for other deals. And so they just have to churn and burn and get there. When they're in the position to bring those guys in, I'm sure they will. And they'll spend the money and they'll be under the cap and they'll win the Super Bowl again.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just how Ricky always talks about it. Like, it's amazing. Look, they got somebody else. Look, Von Miller's going there. Look, OBJ. They get these guys, and they did it with the intent was there, and they made it. They won the championship. So, the cards need to fall this year. It was a couple of years of being down. So,
Corey, I always expect you to bring the heat, but you just scorched the earth with that take. But Ricky, I mean, realistically, the Rams don't have a lot of building pieces going into next year, so you have to basically settle with what you have, and especially with a few contracts coming up, because basically they give out first-round picks, just like tips out there in California. So just to get the finished take on this segment, I mean, do the Rams have any chance next year trying to get back to the prominence, or it's going to be a long climb uphill?
It's going to be a long climb uphill. Who is it? You have San Francisco, you have Arizona, Seattle, right? I think it's
right.
The division. Yeah. So now it's going to be an uphill battle because Aaron Donald, I don't know what he signed, whether it was a 2-year extension or whatever it was. He may retire. He may truly retire after this year. Ramsey, our boy from Nashville, Ramsey's kind of getting lit up a little bit out there. So, to be honest with you, just a little bit. So, I don't think they have the building blocks to be as competitive next year. And once again, like what Corey said, getting rid of all these first-round draft picks, which, it worked last year. They won the Super Bowl. That's great. It worked out. But, yeah, they're about to have some down years, I think. And Sean McVay, he may, you never know, another job come up. He may ride off and go somewhere else.
That TV money's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got the good hair and everything. So he'll be all right.
Well, at least they got a beautiful $500 billion stadium or a $5 billion stadium to look comfortable in while they lose and go an abysmal 4-13.
Yeah.
Ooh, what is their record right now? What is their record right now?
I think they're 3-8 right now. So the cringe. I know the cringe. Speaking of cringe, we got a football game tonight, and of course, it's going to be the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Can I hear that music? I didn't mean to interrupt the music. I love that music. Hit it, man. Hit it. Hit it.
We got to give you the music. Got to get the music out there.
Get
So,
that, man.
as
I
always,
do not own the rights to this music.
I'll let you on
I
a
want you to
secret.
sue. Oh,
3 seconds. 3 seconds is the legal limit. So,
Okay.
wink, wink,
Good.
wink.
Can you make that up?
Right.
Is that real?
It's an unspoken rule, but I didn't say it out loud. I just said 3 seconds.
I like it. I like it.
I do not endorse anybody stealing music for more than 3 seconds. Wink, wink.
Dun, 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 dun.
But Ricky, we'll start with you.
Uh-huh.
Who do you like in this matchup? Who needs it the most?
Yeah, both of them need it, to be honest. Both of them pretty much need to win out. So it's a win. It's a playoff. It should be a playoff atmosphere. I'll put it that way. I know who I want to win, and I never root for these teams ever. Either one of them, but I prefer the Steelers, of course, because I don't want to be looking over our shoulders in week 14, 15 with the Colts 2.5 games behind. So I'm rooting for the Steelers to win. Who do I think is going to win? I think, man.
No pressure.
I think with the pressure with White back for the Steelers, that's going to be huge, especially if Matty Ice is playing. He can turn into a statue back there a little bit, even though their offensive line has gotten a lot better and Taylor is running a lot better. So I'm pulling for the Steelers, and I think they'll pull it out just due to the pressure and everything. And the one thing I would like to see from the Steelers, see if they can kind of open it up with that passing game. Because they don't take any deep shots or anything like that. But I don't know, with Gilmore back there, man, it's going to be a good game. The more that I talk about it, it's going to actually should be a pretty good game, even though I am pulling for the Steelers, of course, being a Titans fan.
All right, so we've got one Steelers. Corey, which way are you going?
Intriguing matchup tonight, guys. We got the young Kenny Pickett. Is he playing tonight? Is he hurt?
He is if you want him to. Yeah, I'm not going to interrupt you. You got a good vibe
Pickens
going.
comes in tonight. He's got the town behind him. This local kid that played at Pitt is taking over the reins. He's coming in tonight against the old season, the old gray beard, Matty Ice. Matty Ice is back at the helm with new coach who's a leader of men. Tonight, we see the Colts triumph over the Pittsburgh Steelers. They look their tail in front of everybody on Monday Night Football, folks. And the way they're going to do it, they're going to run the football. And then Matty Ice is going to throw the football. So they're going to run and throw. And we won't hear much out of any of the white guys, not TJ, not the other one or the young one. We're just going to hear about how they control the line of scrimmage tonight. The Colts offensive line is going to finally wake up, and they lead this rushing attack tonight. And Matty Ice is not going to lose it for them. So there it is. They're going to be right on our shoulders. Look over your shoulders, folks, because the Titans. I'll stop right there. But yeah,
I love the enthusiasm.
Yeah. It'll be a great game. It's a great matchup, though. I really don't know. I think they're, Pittsburgh always has a little special magic in prime time for some reason. I mean, I would never want to play Pittsburgh Steelers on prime time because I've watched us lose so many times to them, but that's been that's a different team, different quarterback. I don't think the young guy has enough to beat this Colts team.
They are in Indy, I just noticed.
That is true. It'll be a home game, so I guess I'll have to be the deciding factor here since we're going split right now.
No pressure.
Let's see. Do I believe in Jeff Saturday?
Oh, yeah.
Not really, but it's an intriguing story.
Has Jeff Saturday ever lost to the Titans?
As a player, yes.
Okay, I didn't know. No, there are some past coach players that can say no to that. I didn't know
That's true.
if he was one of them. But no, it's a small group, maybe just one. I don't know.
But then again, Jeff Saturday is the first coach to be hired with no previous coaching experience in the collegiate or professional level since Norm Van Brock.
Wow.
Hey, man.
And then I look at Pittsburgh. That offense makes me nervous.
Yeah.
But I do like their defense. This might be the worst Monday night matchup we see this year.
What?
I think it'll be
somebody's going to flat out lay an egg tonight, and I just have to decide who's going to lay the egg. I got to go with the Steelers on this one. I'm more confident in Mike Tomlin's ability to prepare in a game this big. Jeff Saturday has no experience. Jeff Saturday has not been in these games as a coach. And if you've been in them as a player, doing them as a coach is a completely different situation. Yeah. So I will say the Steelers by 13.
All right.
Tag me on that post. Tag me on that tweet tomorrow
when it blows up in my face. Believe me, if I had a nickel for every pick that I missed this year, I'd have a buttload of nickels, man.
I was amazed at your pick leading into this season on the kicker thing. I was like, man, this dude's a genius. He told us Stonehouse was gonna take Kern's position, and he did. I had no. It just didn't. It didn't click, and now this guy's leading the league in punting. So you need to. We do this thing with the phonies where we pat ourselves on the back. I want you to pat yourself.
Yep.
I'll give myself a little pat.
Absolutely.
I don't want to get too cocky over this because I will stay humble in this situation, but just a little pat on the back for myself.
There you go.
But, all right, everybody, we're going to take a quick 30-second break, and we come back. Deep breath. Titans, Bengals. We'll work our way through it. Talk about what we didn't like, what we like, and what we think is going to happen going forward. I'm Michael Bishop with the Power, and we'll be back in 30 seconds. The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and thank you for joining us on this Monday evening. Joining me tonight are Ricky and Corey from PHONIES Podcast. Don't let the name fool you. They are too legit to quit, and I will give them all the credit in the world because they bring out the good in their podcast. They're always bringing good insight and bringing you the news that you need to know. Guys, please let everybody know where to find that great content that you put out.
Check us out anywhere podcasts are able to be snatched up for free. We are 4 Phonies, the number 4, PHONIES, 4 Phonies Talking Titans. 4 Phonies Talking Titans. Follow us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. We've got a Twitter out there. That guy's off the chain, so follow him, and you'll be entertained.
And I'll go ahead and jump in, get some of that too. And don't forget, while you're watching the show, make sure you help us grow. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok at the Power Hour 615. And don't forget, sharing is caring. Make sure you share the show out to everybody so you can see Corey and Ricky and get to know them. They're putting out good insight. That's why I keep bringing them on the show. They're bringing hot takes, and they're keeping you informed, the viewer. And also, guys, don't forget, we are part of the Titan Upload Network, and we are always bringing out new content daily. And, of course, check us out on our TikTok page. Always keeping that thing fresh for you because I'm an entertainer, and at heart, that's what I do. I like to entertain and make sure that you are entertained throughout the day. Well, guys, let's not waste a second any further and go ahead and jump into this little abysmal thing that we saw yesterday. Bengals Titans, unfortunately, it just seemed the Bengals had their way with the Tennessee Titans, where they just seemed to be physically outmatched and outplayed. So, Corey, we'll start with you. What was your takeaway? What was your two takeaways from this game?
Man, two takeaways. Yeah, one, like what you just said, I don't think any of us expected for our guys to kind of get handled, up front. Their offensive line pretty much contained our guys. I mean, I'm not saying they were more physical, but they were as physical, and they imposed their will more than our guys imposed their will. So, it seems like they had a different mindset in the game. One thing that I definitely take away. It seems like this Cincinnati coach, they game plan the hell out of us, man. They have been ready every time. Those guys have been ready to play, and their scheme and what they do and what they want to do seems to be a better game plan or more execution or something. I mean, it's something with the players as far as man on man. Their offensive line and some of the runs that the running back made that we couldn't get him on the ground, or the runs after contact is this is one of those games you got your butt whooped. You got your butt whooped, and you got to look in the mirror after that one and go back and it's becoming one of those things where it'll get in their head soon that they hadn't beat this team. They haven't beat this coach-led team, this quarterback-led team, hadn't beat them, and they had a lot of reasons to beat them. That playoff game, putting that behind us. I promised I wouldn't talk about that anymore. I've been through therapy for that. Me and Tannehill sat in on the same session, and one of my agreements with the therapist is I can't keep bringing it up and reliving it. But you had all the reason in the world to beat that team. And to come back, even though it's different set of guys, half the guys wasn't on the team and all that doesn't make really a bit of difference, because we all know what happened. We're all fans. You can't say that it's not, a revenge game and that kind of thing, because it is. We need to have that. And if you weren't on the team, you saw the game last year. Everybody saw it. That liked football, they saw it. They heard about it. If not, you're on this team now, you automatically get all of that. So you should have that hate. You should want to win in a bad way. But that's what I took from it, Michael, man. I know you didn't ask for all that, but I'm still working on this thing. You can tell I'm a little hurt by last season, and that just brought back a lot of memories, bad feelings about last season.
And that's understandable, Corey. It seems like the Bengals have become the gnat in the face of Titans fans right now.
I really thought they would go in there and hurt that O-line after last season's game, and how they partied on us and tweeted and talked junk and all that. I thought they would go in there, and I really thought it'd be a physical dominance by our D-line against them. But yesterday showed us that you got to do it. You can feel that way. You can talk about it, but then you got to play. And when it was time to play, they did not look outmanned. They actually looked a little better than we did. And that's hard for me to say.
And Ricky, your two takeaways from the game yesterday.
Man, I think the main thing, the Titans got out tightened, if that makes sense. The line of scrimmage, they won both sides. I mean, they were just more physical. They were the more physical team. The running back getting those tough extra yards. I think he may only finish with maybe 60, close to 60, almost 70, or whatever it was. It was under 100, but they were brutal. They were tough. They let you know he was there. You know what I'm saying? So he was very physical, and then just Burrow being so cool and calm, knowing that when the game was tight, he knew where to go. He knew where to pass. He did enough to counter every little thing that we did. You know, if we go down, score, they was going to come down, hit a few short passes, throw in a run here or there, and then take a shot. And you know, and it just worked out for them. And as for us, you know, always winning the close games, they look like they look like us in a sense, you know. So that's why I say, you know, we got out tightened yesterday. Another thing, and I think a couple more things, we miss Ben Jones. We need him back. That's one thing I took from it, because I don't know if it's just because he's out, or, you know, teams always stack the box against us. You know, and with Henry's average per carry being maybe 2.8, 3 yards, you know, against Green Bay, it worked out because he had high volume carries and decent yards. It was still around 3 yards, but they were efficient. But in this game, I think they kind of tried to do the same thing, sticking with it, but it wasn't efficient this game. So, you know, I don't know if that's part of being Jones being out, you know, with Brewer being so small at center and then having to bring in Dillon as the left guard, I think. So we missed Ben Jones. And one more thing, and it may be a question for y'all, you know, considering we didn't get much pressure yesterday, is Autry our defensive MVP? You know, Big Jeff kind of gets all the accolades, the respect, probably more than anybody. But I'm not saying he's better than Jeff, don't get me wrong. But, you know, not having him yesterday, it seemed
they look real.
It was
regular.
a bigger issue than I expected it to be. You know, because last week it was when Big Jeff was out, you know, Walker and those guys stepped up, Naquan and all those guys stepped up. But yesterday, nobody really stepped up. So, you know, that makes me question.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I didn't. So Autry played last game and Jeff was out, right? Is that what you? Oh yeah. Yeah, it looked totally different.
It was Autry the guy.
Autry might be the secret sauce. That's definitely Robin to Big Jeff's Batman for sure. Mm-hmm. But it permeates all the way down the line, it seems like, and they move him around. Yeah. So I think you're hitting on something. I mean, maybe because they look real regular. It's just a regular line yesterday. One sack and a couple of pressures.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was an average quiet day for that defensive line. So realistically, you know, I think it's a great point. Autry missing out on that. You know, you just look at this game, and from the whole standpoint that I took away from it was I didn't see it as a revenge game at all. I saw it as a measuring stick game. You're going up against the defending AFC champions. You had to find out if you were legit to hang with this team. And for the most part, Tennessee did. But once again, just because of mental errors and just misfortune on the offensive play calling, it's a game that got away. Same like the Chiefs game. And it's got to get to the point where the Titans have to find a way to win these games. Because these are the opponents you're going to be facing in January. And you have to start playing your best football late December through January. And realistically, it's just hard to find a lot of positives if Tennessee can reach that status point, especially knowing the quality of opponents that they played. And it's not that great. And I'm just being honest.
One thing I'll say on the positive note is it's probably obvious by everybody, but the coming along of the continued progression of Burks. He's showing up more. He's getting more opportunities. I'd still like to see him get more opportunities because he's a difference maker. That ball, the long pass that he caught, I think what we saw there is a big person impose themselves on as we've seen the past game. You know, the other game he showed he uses his size and he can catch. He uses his speed. So I'm excited about him coming along. I think that that part is a positive to see more, going down the field. I just think, like you said, Michael, man, when to make these play calls, which I kind of, sometimes it doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense. Sometimes you got to pass to open up the run. Sometimes you got to check out of a certain run play and have that play where there you go.
I have no idea what happened. We had a glitch, and I just saw nothing, and I just had to restart. So sorry about the technical difficulties. Hopefully that was just a one-time thing, but try and pick back up on that thought we were on. So my apologies on that end.
It's all good.
But just to pick up where Burks was, I agree the progression there. I'm very hopeful that he's going to continue to play at a high level. But one thing that continues to bother me is the lack of the use of the tight ends. I want to see Hooper more involved. I want to see Chig involved more. I mean, realistically, is that going to be something we need to utilize more to be successful down the road? And Ricky, I'll let you take that.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I'll speak for the number one phony when you bring up tight ends. One that he definitely don't want to see out there is Jeff Swain. So, I think creating more opportunities for Chig and Hooper and maybe less opportunities for Swain, I think that's definitely what we need to see down the line, because we're going to have to score points. I don't know if Swain is staying in the chip to help block or whatever, but we definitely have to get those guys more involved, because we definitely got to move the change. Just like yesterday, we didn't take advantage of the field position. We had the first half, seemed like we started around our 40, close to midfield, the entire first half, and didn't capitalize on it. So, and maybe getting those guys involved would have helped. I think Hooper did catch a big, maybe 3rd and 10 or something like that. But they're going to have to get more high volume targets, I'd say. So for sure, because I don't know if Woods can win outside right now. NWI is kind of doing his thing. He's picking his spots. But with those tight ends, I think they can create mixed matches. And with Burks, I think that will allow us definitely to be more efficient and score more points.
Yeah, I don't want to see them more tight end screens to Swain with Burks being the lead blocker and
agreed.
Woods being, why? Just switch it up. Run the play and let Chig be the one to catch it. Run the play, run Burks on the screen. And I know I'm oversimplifying it, but really I'm not. They only have so many opportunities, just like Ricky said. They only have so many opportunities on offense. So when I look at the breakdown, it would have been different if we hadn't squandered that last opportunity with the big penalty at the end. We'd have had another set of downs, and hopefully these numbers would look different. But when you look at the stat sheet and you see Chig had 19 snaps on offense, Swain had 31 snaps, is that just because of the run? Because if that's so, hell, they couldn't block it anyway. They weren't blocking them. They couldn't block that. That was a stacked box, and that's really what a stacked box is supposed to look like. You don't really supposed to be able to run the ball against 9 people in the box. You don't. We do it all the time, and we've become accustomed to just running it anyway. And Henry pops, or he'll make somebody miss, or somebody will get a block, and we'll take 8 people and beat 9, whatever. However, whatever it is, we beat it all the time. Yesterday we didn't beat it, but once, maybe twice. First play when he picked up the 9 yards. But that's not, those guys had unblocked people stunting all night, little guys, and it's easy to tackle Henry before he gets going. We know that. I mean, who can't make, if they're playing like that, they are daring you to go downfield. They are daring you. So they're basically saying we couldn't check out of that and have our receivers beat their corners or their secondary. We could that's what was so frustrating to me. The fact that at some point they could say, oh, well, we can't block. They're playing us this way. They're reading this, so they're just sending somebody and gapping, and they're doing a great job of hitting us, making Derek stop in the backfield. So we got to check out of that and go, do something different to give an opportunity downfield, and because that's the part that's a lot. I think when you hear about all the play calling and the criticisms, it's easy to criticize because it just looks like we're just running our head against a wall all night.
And looking down the road now is the highly anticipated Philadelphia Eagles Titans matchup. I mean, there's a million questions I can go with, and I know the whole narrative. A.J. Brown's going to be a big factor, and it's going to be what it is. But Ricky, starting with you and finishing with Corey, what is Tennessee going to have to do to win this critical matchup in the finale of the gauntlet?
Man, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think I see similarities, and y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, and why I feel pretty confident. I'll say slightly confident is because I kind of see them playing this game as if we're playing like the Ravens, and you have Lamar, they play pretty well against Lamar Jackson, even though I think so far this season, Hurts has played, he's looking to pass more so than run, even though last night he almost broke the record for rushing. But considering him getting out of the pocket and being able to contain him, I think we can do a good job in that. And once again, if Autry is available, that will help. But considering the defense and considering we played against Lamar a bunch of times, I think it'll help our defense. Of course, the Ravens didn't have Smith or A.J. Brown, so that's going to cause a problem there. And but I feel a little bit more confident on our defensive side. As for our offense, once again, how much do we pound Derrick Henry up the middle before we kind of switch and go to something else? Because they have a stout defensive line. I don't know their numbers against where they rank against the run, but they just brought in Sue. Of course, he may not be in shape just yet, but they brought him in for a reason. And Fletcher Cox and all those guys are good. So, the only thing that bothers me, if they do stop the run, if they hold us to 3 yards again, like the last two games, and then we have to start throwing the ball, Slay is a beat. And then in the secondary, Slay, he could cause some problems. I saw where, who is it, Gardner Webb? I can't think of his name. One of their safeties or one of their DBs got hurt last night, who leading the league in interceptions. So I don't know the extent of his injury, but he can sit out one more week if he wants to. So I feel pretty confident overall, to be honest, especially coming off a loss like that. Typical Titan fashion, we'll probably show up, and surprise some folks. So I feel pretty confident.
And realistically, I think it's going to come down to two things. Basically, it's catching their defense sleeping, which they've given up some points. They'll put a fight up, but they've given up some points. Okay. And I think that's something the offense has got to find a way to attack consistently and try and keep this a close game. And second, and I think this is the most important thing, this needs to be Traylon Burks' coming out party. We've already seen 2 good games from him. I want to see an elite game from him. And I feel it's overdue. I feel he just needs to find the right matchup, and they just need to try and get the ball to him consistently and effectively.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Corey, to finish out with the segment with you, realistically, what are the Titans' chances of beating the Eagles?
And I'm on that same train that Ricky's on, because typically he's surprised after disappointing, and I'm hoping that we've got our this week during game planning they've worked on it like they do when they come together when they really want to do something. It seems like they're quiet, and then bam, they surprise. So I don't think the Eagles are unbeatable at all. I just think we have to play discipline. Got to account for Hurts's running ability, and that's a known. It's not something that's unknown. So I think they can prepare for it. That's something we've done before. I think we were successful preparing against Lamar Jackson that way. He's been playing on a high level, but I still wouldn't say he is he's playing at a high level, and he's got great receivers. So it'll take an all-around team effort, but they can do it. It just has to be one of those instances that they come together to do it and put the work in. And I expect them to do that, Michael. I do. I'm gonna actually pick the Titans to upset the Eagles on next week.
Okay. You heard it here first. Corey from Four Phonies.
And that's a phony take, baby.
Giving you the upset of the week.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're here, you're exclusively hearing that. Of course, like you said, it'll take a team effort, and it's going to take a lot of hard work and just a good week of preparation to help that move forward. Hopefully finish out this 5-game streak with 3 wins, which will help move their progress forward, especially in a tight playoff race, which it will be heading towards the finish line. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick 30-second break, and when we come back, I've got a quick debate to go over because apparently some people on Twitter want to beef, but that's okay. I like putting it out on the table and just laying out the facts because that's the kind of guy I am. And I've got 2 very well-respected football minds to help me make that discussion as well. So let's take a quick 30-second break. We'll be back in just a second. The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming to you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and thank you for joining us on this Monday evening. Great having Ricky and Corey from Four Phonies joining us, and great having everybody watching on the show. And, of course, got to get to this comment because this definitely made me smile a little bit. D9 Motivation, since you want to give out a little shout-out, how is Traylon Burks going to have a breakout game when they don't throw to their weapons? Well, D, what did they do yesterday? Did the ball just magically just fly over there? Was there elevation that I don't know about in these footballs? Was helium just blowing them over there? So please help me out with that. They're throwing the ball, D. They're just not throwing the ball enough. And we all know who is responsible for that, which comes to my biggest conclusion right there. Because everybody definitely wants to have some opinions on things. And sometimes I just like poking my nose in arguments because I'm just that kind of person. Sometimes you just got to put your 2 cents in. So, Ricky, Corey, I do apologize. I kind of have to set up the narrative here to make this more understandable. So, try and bear with me for just a minute. Because the story without narrative just isn't a good story at all. So, folks on Twitter, everybody's going to have their 2 cents. And I thought this was going to be a good debate. So, let's start out right here. First, it was just a normal post, and entertaining at that. So basically a list of the top offensive coordinators who would want to work with Mike Vrabel. which leads me to the question, well, why? Why is that list blank? I'd have to kind of scratch my head on that one, because realistically, who's turning down the chance to work with Derrick Henry? So, let's dive into the discussion a little bit more. Of course, somebody puts in their 2 cents, and I think this is a fair point. To Downing, the previous 2 coordinators got head coaching jobs. While I think Vrabel has had a hand in what is called, I think Downing is just bad at his job. Per reports, Downing was only hired after he couldn't interview Kelly. Good point. If anything, coaches would want to work with Vrabel because he is loyal to a fault. And those are good points. Those are valid points with, backup. So our good friend, Michael, or Ned, if I mispronounced that, do apologize in advance, brings up this point. Actually, no, multiple OCs turned down interviewing for the Titans job when Vrabel was hired. Then when LaFleur left a year, they promoted in-house. When Art left to be a head coach, they found Downing was all they could get. You will get another OC one once, or a ladder climber. And that's an interesting take, but I'd have to say there kind of has to be a little bit of merit to make that a little true. Because throughout that entire process, I don't really remember anybody saying no than maybe just a couple of guys that were in the collegiate level. I know Ryan Day basically said no because he knew he was going to eventually get a head coaching job somewhere as a college coach. Everybody else, it's kind of up for grabs. So, of course, I got to poke my nose in this, bringing in the point, they did promote in-house because they felt confident in Downing. It was a good interview, and they felt it was a good fit. And there's plenty of OCs that would jump at the job if it was open. My 2 cents. So, of course, he's got to come back with that and say, nope, I don't know how good you are at reading between the lines. I enjoyed that line, by the way. But my read is Todd Downing has job security because they already know no one with credentials who's better than Todd Downing wants Todd Downing's job. Their inaction speaks volumes. So that gets me just a little more interested. Once again, facts. Or at least he wants them to be facts without any backing. So let me come back with this. That's just silly. Tim Kelly's practically waiting to be handed the keys to the offense. It's not a matter of if, but when. And of course comes to the main question to this debate. If that's true, why is Downing still there? He gave them a gold-plated excuse to can him. So, Michael, I'm going to answer your question. Why is Todd Downing still there? And I brought help. So, Corey, I will let you start.
Nice. Because the head coach is, like you said, very, very loyal. The head coach also believes that players make plays, and you can go through the line and back of these questionable plays, but when Vrabel looks at that film, he's seeing people that blew assignments. He's seeing people that dropped the football that they normally catch. Say Derrick Henry and the Wildcat. That was Downing called hell for that play at that particular time, which I thought it was a great play. They blocked it. He always catches it. We always run it in special times. Why would that be any different? And they blocked the hell out of it. It was probably would have scored. Bring Malik in it seemed like a weird time, but Malik is a professional athlete now. He's sitting over there. He runs the shit all week in practice. You would expect if you put him in that he'd be able to be a professional and do the job, not to just dump on Malik, but damn, he did it twice. But anyway, I mean, I just think that the narrative changed really quick with a good game, just like we saw not this past game, but the game before, the game he celebrated too hard on. That was a masterful job calling plays, but they executed. They executed the passes down the field. They executed when we got out of our tendency so much and done some different things. and trusted our quarterback and trusted our receivers to make a play. So I think Vrabel just looks at it as, some of these critiques or criticisms that this particular coach is catching is due to other mishaps and other people not doing their job. So he's not putting it all on one person, and things can. I can remember when Arthur was. Everybody was saying that we should have went and got an OC, and that was too big. But then out of nowhere, we get hot and we catch on. We got a quarterback that's balling out, and he by the end of the season, he's the hottest thing for the next coaching job. So things can turn quickly in the NFL, and I've talked to him about that one.
Ricky, I'll let you get on this take as well. Why is Todd Downing still there? For our good buddy Michael out there, because he just had such the big question of the night.
Well, in my opinion, I think it's pretty simple because Vrabel is too stubborn. He's not going to get rid of it. And I don't think he's going to get rid of it mid-season either. You know what I'm saying? So I think we've been winning with this style of football. We haven't, we all complain a lot about not scoring enough points, which, goes back to yesterday, holding Cincinnati to 20, you should win those games. But, I think as of right now, the style is working. Vrabel is pretty stubborn, and he's not going to get rid of his guys because he's so loyal to a point. So, that's just about it, in my opinion. I think you have a lot to share. So I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I wanted to make sure everybody got their opinion in because Michael had such a very in-depth question, and I didn't want to leave any stone unturned.
Yeah.
You put in that effort with an argument, I'm definitely going to come with facts. All right, Michael. Here's your answer. Mike Vrabel's not going to fire a coach mid-season because why are you going to put in another coordinator with a different type of offense? Because Tim Kelly's offense and Todd Downing's offense are night and day. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, they are working together, so they could implement the system that they've been working together. But here's the thing. When you're working at a job and you're finally handed the position, you're going to implement your certain way of doing things because you're comfortable with it. You're familiar with it. Why do you think the players have an off season? To learn new things. If you put in a new defensive coordinator or a new offensive coordinator, you have an off season to learn the terminology, to learn the plays, to learn the audibles. Not every coach is the same. So Todd Downing will be gone, but it's going to be after the season.
Yeah.
Second, you can't disrupt the flow of things regardless of how you feel. Todd Downing may be the worst offensive coordinator I've seen thus far, but they're winning. You can't disrupt that. That's how it's working right now. Players are probably going to stand up for him because they're winning. And realistically, it's just something we have to take. When a coach is losing and they can't play call, of course you're going to fire him. That's an easy no-brainer there. This is a little harder. Because they're winning, it's harder to defend the firing because then you lose the locker room. And we don't have that insight there. They're probably very tight-knit, just like a lot of people are, or anybody that's played sports understands that when something's working, you don't want to disrupt the flow of it. Now, are there problems that need to be worked out? Of course there are. Todd Downing's a big one of them. But let's not forget the offensive line. Let's not forget the fact that, there's receivers out there that aren't doing their job properly. Not everybody's blameless in this.
Right.
There's plenty of blame to go around. Todd Downing being the biggest thing there. But the biggest reason they're not going to fire him, Michael, they're not going to disrupt the flow. He will be replaced, but it's going to be next year. Consistency is what moves the needle. And for that, I respect Vrabel for doing that. And think of it this way, Michael. This guy has a family. Yes, he's doing a bad job, but I'll give Vrabel the benefit of the doubt. He's probably thinking about him and his situation right now. And he's more than likely going to be suspended. We'll just have to wait and see on that. So realistically, I don't see Todd Downing making it past next year. I think he'll move on, either being fired or somewhere somebody out there is going to give him a head coaching job. I don't know who. God bless you if you do. Good luck. But I will say this. Mike Vrabel wasn't a good coordinator, and he's turned out to be a great head coach.
Wow.
So sometimes things work out. Maybe he sees that side of it.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
So, Michael, I hope that answered your question. I hope that Corey and Ricky were able to answer your question, because that's all you're getting from me.
Oh, man.
Oh, I'm glad I got that out of my system. Now I feel ready. I feel ready for the Philadelphia game now.
All right.
Well, all right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight. I want to thank Ricky and Corey from PHONIES Podcast. Don't let the name fool you. These guys are legit at what they do. They bring great insight. They bring a lot of great stories, and they're doing a great job getting you informed and entertaining you, because that's what we're all about. But, guys, thank you once again for joining me on the show tonight.
Absolutely.
Definitely want to give you another shout-out. Let the followers know where to find you and all your great content at.
Go ahead, Corey. You did such a great job.
Oh, no doubt, man. Thank you, Michael, for having us. You do a tremendous job putting this stuff together. You got all the fun graphics and the good info and the insightful questions. So we just want to thank you for letting us come on with you tonight for a few minutes. Find us. We are the Four Phonies. There are four of us typically. We usually try to the podcast. Usually we've got all four guys on. We've got different takes where each phony has their own different deal, but check us out anywhere you get your podcast. The number 4 Phonies, PHONIES, Talking Titans. 4 Phonies Talking Titans. Our social media, that same handle works for our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We keep you entertained. Check us out. And Ricky,
guys, once again,
Ricky can cook too, man. He has all types of tailgate recipes. You can eat like a whole bowl of this stuff and only gain like 1 pound, and you can eat all kinds of
tailgating with Slick Pop.
it is supper. It is supper time, so you're multi-managing. You're putting food out there in sports. Right. Guys, what more could you ask for? They're giving you the best of both worlds. People love sports. People love food. There's your hookup right there.
Thank you, man.
Go.
But once again, everybody, thank you for joining us. We are part of the Titan Upload Network. Make sure you check out all our great affiliates, Titans for Life, Titans Rossi, Titan Upload, our founder, and, of course, Ryan Harris of the Jump Pass Podcast, and, of course, our good buddy Brian Johannes, giving you the best NFL draft insider, and he's going to be busy in the next couple of months, so definitely check his videos out too. So, everybody, thank you again for all that you've done tonight. Thank you for joining us on the show. For Ricky and Corey, I'm Michael Bishop of the Power Hour. Take care.
Peace out. Tighten up.
Tighten up. Yes, sir.
Thank you for watching this live presentation of the Titan Upload Network.